Hello and welcome to CrossTalk. I'm Wes McAdams from Baker Heights Church of Christ. I believe there is so much American Christians can learn from Christians in other countries. Today on CrossTalk, we'll talk with a preacher from Zambia, Africa, about what life is like there and what Christians in America can learn from our brethren on the other side of the world. Stay with us. We'll be right back in just a moment with today's special guest.
Baker Heights Church of Christ presents CrossTalk, a biblical discussion about today's most important issues.
About 8 years ago, Baker Heights began a mission work in the country of Zambia. The missionary who oversees the work there is a native of Zambia, and he is here with us to visit about the work there in Zambia. Welcome to CrossTalk, Brother Wellington Mwanza.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's good to have you, brother. I'm excited to have you here in person, to be able to talk about the work that you're doing there. Mm-hmm. And brother, you have a fascinating story. Over the last week or so, since I've gotten to know you, you've shared with me a little bit about yourself and the work that's going on there. So if you would, let's start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself and how you began being associated with Baker Heights and how the work at EastReach began.
Thank you. Of course, I come from Zambia. I came to Abilene in 1996 to do a degree at ACU. I was living, my neighbor where I was living at East North 21st was a member at Baker Heights. And so one afternoon, he invited me to go to Baker Heights. And that's how I started going to Baker Heights at that time. We stayed there as long as we were in Abilene, and we liked it there. And I remember we had about a few months, 3-4 months before we left, and we were saying hello to everybody at church. And so one of the elders said, well, they would like to talk to me. And so we had a meeting that Sunday afternoon. After that meeting, I was so nervous, I didn't know what they wanted to talk to me about. But it turned out to be that they were interested in supporting us and, helping us in evangelizing the eastern part of Zambia, because they had heard that we are already doing some work there. Basically, that's how our relationship started with Baker Heights. And 8 years later, here we are, still doing what they sent us to do.
Wonderful, and you guys are doing a wonderful job over there.
Thank you.
So when you came here, you were getting your education at Abilene Christian.
Yes.
And so you have a degree in Bible, and
That's
then
right.
Also a master's in
Education administration.
Education administration.
Yes, please.
And so you're using both of those really in working in Zambia, because you're both teaching the Bible and working with our preaching school there in Chipata. So
Yes,
why don't
please.
you tell us a little bit about the Chipata Bible School and the work that's being accomplished through that school? What is the Chipata Bible School, first of all, and then what work is being accomplished through that school?
Thank you. Chipata Bible College started about 8 years ago in 2008. Basically what we do is we bring in young men and train them in the word and then send them back in the villages to preach. In the last 8 years, we've been able to graduate over 40 students.
Wow.
And some of those have ended up in Mozambique and in Malawi. We didn't know that would happen, but over time, people have heard about Chipata Bible College, and so we even get students from other countries coming into Chipata Bible College. But then Chipata Bible College has become more than just, a Bible training school. We are now a center for, what we didn't know will happen. We are a center for all the church activities, leadership training, for men, women meeting, youth activities, and everything that, happens to help the church to grow in the Eastern Province, is done basically at Chipata Bible College. So we've become this center for, church growth. We help all the churches, Sometimes they call us and say, well, we need some of your students to come here and conduct, leadership training seminar. So we take the Bible College students there to help. Or they say, well, we want an evangelism in this village. Can you send some of the young men to come? And so we go there and help them. So we do more than just train the men. We actually go out in the villages and do the work that they're trained to do.
That's wonderful.
And we like that.
Yes, sir, absolutely. I love this story, and I hope that people are starting to get a sense of how beautiful this story is. So here you are, and you have a wife and a young boy,
Yes,
and you come over to Abilene Christian and get your education, and then have every intention to go back to Zambia and to start, I assume, working in the schools there. Is that right?
That's right.
That was your plan?
That was my plan.
And then the Baker Heights elders approach you and say, well, what if we partner together we take the gospel to the Eastern Province of Zambia and begin this preacher training school? And now, 8 years later, you said over 40 different preachers have been trained there?
Yes, please.
Wow, wonderful. Yeah. And how many, I'd love for you to share with us how many congregations have been planted during that time? How many different churches are meeting now throughout Zambia and Mozambique?
Malawi.
Malawi.
That's true.
And share with us how many congregations have been planted through that work?
Thank you. Well, when it started out, there was something like less than 10 congregations in the Eastern Province scattered everywhere. But now we are talking about 96.
Wow.
In fact, my wife, Irene, was reminding me the other day that the number I gave, 96, I'd left out 4 congregations that were in Malawi.
Wow.
So we are talking about 100. So we are working with 96, 100 congregations that we planted over the 7-8 years that we've been working in the Eastern Province. And we've managed to baptize close to 7,000 Christian, and that includes people that have been restored to the Lord.
Wow.
Yeah, so the work is growing.
Yes.
Yeah, we started out small, but God has been faithful. That work has grown to where now we're talking about at least 96 congregations.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely phenomenal that in 8 years, thousands of people have come to the Lord or been restored to Christ.
Yes.
And 100 congregations now where there used to be 10.
That's right.
And Chipata Bible School, a college, has become the center of so much church activity, as you said, and these small villages that are benefiting from the work that these preachers are doing, that are being trained and then sent out to do so many things. And then you'll have lectureships there, correct? That people will come and meet there at the Chipata Bible College.
Yes, we have a lot of lectureships. Sometimes we have lectureships that are based only on Chipata district, which is a town where Chipata Bible College is located. But sometimes we invite everybody in the province. And sometimes we even invite people from Malawi and Mozambique, and they come. So we have several lectureships.
Wonderful.
Youth meetings, women's meeting. And this year we're privileged to host a national women's meeting. So
wonderful.
Everybody wants to come to Chipata. I don't know why, but they do.
and how many women are you expecting to be at that lectureship?
1,000.
1,000.
1,000.
That is amazing.
Thank you.
That is phenomenal.
1,000.
And ever so often, Baker Heights is able to send a team over. And here just a few months ago, we sent a team over there. So share with us a little bit about what those teams from Abilene do when they're there in Zambia.
Well, first of all, it's an exciting time when you receive a team from the U.S.
Right.
There's a lot of work that they do. First of all, because most of our work is based in the villages. So we take them to the villages, they do Bible studies, they meet people, they talk to community leaders there. And then, of course, the big one, we do medical mission. As you know, Zambia and Africa in general, medical facilities are not as many as they are here. So most of the villages don't have clinics. And so what we try to do whenever the team from the US comes is we go in these villages and carry out medical outreach. And during the medical outreach, we start out by talking to people about the gospel. So when we come to an area, we'll assemble, and then somebody will preach from the word. And then from there, we start treating people. We do eyes and just general body pains, everything that we can to help the villagers. But then, the good part of everything is that we have a team of preachers that sit on the side. Once these people finish treatment, they get their treatment, then we ask them to go and sit with the preachers, and then the preachers will talk to them about Christ. And then we baptize them.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of the medical mission. It's been used as a tool to reach the people in the villages.
That's wonderful.
And it's working for us.
Yes, I'm sure that it is. And
working
we were speaking before the show about how people, both in America and in Africa, don't care what you know until they know how much you care.
That's right.
And you were sharing with me just how grateful the people are when they receive a medical mission team that comes and treats their wounds and their illnesses. They remember it for years, don't they?
Yes, they do. And sometimes you go to a village, sometimes you forget, and then you go back there again, then they'll tell you, oh, you came to our village, you did this for us, you did this for us. And so that's exciting for us.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So things like these medical mission trips, and tell us about the water wells, the boreholes that. Why is that so important that we're able to help with those things? I mean, share with us, because here in Abilene, Texas, that clean drinking water isn't a problem, but share with us why that's so important.
Well, it's important because, as you know, Africa, we may have rivers and streams, but it's not every village that has a river and stream. If there is, they have to walk miles to go and find that water. And then when they do find it, it's dirty because sometimes the villagers, the people share the same water with their animals. And sometimes in the dry season, they don't have as much water. So whenever the project of drilling water wells started, we didn't even know how we are going to use water wells, together with evangelism. But it has turned out to be that water wells are actually a very good tool for evangelism, because what these preachers do is that sometimes they go there whenever the women are drawing water, so they will stand there and actually share from the Bible. So the water wells have been a very good tool for us in evangelism, on top of providing the safe and clean drinking water, which is not there in the villages.
Right.
Yeah.
So these reaching out to people with health and medicine and clean drinking water, it enables us to help them with their temporary physical situation.
True.
But it also gives us a great opportunity, an open door to teach people the gospel.
That's right. It gives you an opportunity that you would not otherwise have. You can imagine somebody standing at the water well and teaching someone. That's an opportunity that you would not have if you didn't have a water well.
Right.
That's right. So the water wells, the medical mission has really proved to be a good tool for us in as far as reaching out to the villages. Because, I mean, when you go to a village and tell them, look, there's going to be free medicine that will come, a lot of people will come. And so that gives you a chance to speak to more than one person at one single time.
Right.
So,
absolutely. And it's obviously proven to be effective
yeah.
in that over 7,000 people have been reached.
Oh yeah. And we thank God for that.
Absolutely.
That has given us this opportunity to do this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I thank God, and I'm thankful that God has put you and Baker Heights in the same place that we're able to partner together to do this work. We've got more to talk about. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to ask Brother Mwanza about what American Christians can learn from Christians in Africa. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
CrossTalk will be back shortly.
We have been here for 18 years.
7 years.
For 19 years.
The past 8 years.
Baker Heights Church of Christ invites you to take the next step by faith.
People can come here and be who they are.
It's my home away from home. The people that come here are so uplifting.
Everyone is accepted.
The people here are loving and caring and only want the best for you.
It's a really great place to grow together and to encourage each other.
If you came to Baker Heights, you would definitely have a place to serve.
If you're looking for a place to study and study the Word of God and a church home, Baker Heights would be the place.
The Baker Heights community is about more than just filling seats. We're about
love,
family, peace,
hope,
joy,
truth.
Join us and take the next step by faith.
Welcome back. We're talking with Brother Wellington Mwanza about the work he's doing and that Baker Heights sponsors in Zambia, Africa. Welcome back, brother. I really appreciate you sharing with us the work that's going on there, the thousands of people that have been reached with the gospel and have been restored to Christ. What exciting news that is, to know that that work has gone from there being 10 congregations to 100 congregations. It thrills my soul to hear these stories. Maybe paint a picture for us about what life is like in Zambia. I know there's a big difference between life in the city, like in Chipata, and in the villages. So kind of help us to understand, those of us that have never been to Africa, what is life like in Zambia?
Well, first of all, there are some differences between life in towns and the villages. Obviously, in town, you find that even though Chipata is in Eastern, you find that there will be other tribes, people from other provinces. That would be in a big town like Chipata. But then when you go to villages, basically you find that, it will be only probably one language or two that are spoken there. And then, of course, as you know, in towns we have so many amenities. In the village, there is no amenity to talk about. Okay, it's just these little huts that they have to live in, and everything revolves around there. And of course, people in the villages don't have as much things to talk about in terms of material possessions if you compare them with the people in towns. And so people in the village are basically poor. And their diet, it's made up really of one meal, which is this thick porridge called nshima that is served with vegetables and fish for most part of the time. And then when they can afford, they will have a bit of meat in there. So there are all these differences that are there between life in a town like Chipata and then the village life.
You mentioned languages. How many different languages are spoken throughout Zambia?
Oh, Zambia has about 73 tribes, different dialects according to provinces, because Zambia has about 10 provinces. And so those 73 tribes come from those different provinces, state-like, if you wish.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, talk about, if you would, how people get around. How do people get from one point to another in Zambia?
Most of the people, like in the villages, they walk. They spend most of the time walking. If they can afford, they will have a bicycle. And to get a bicycle, it's not like they save up money now and buy. They will have probably planned for years to buy that bicycle.
Wow.
So we walk for the most part, and then most of them that may have a bicycle, they will use that bicycle as form of transport.
And that's something that we try to do for the preachers, right?
That's right.
In providing a bicycle for them so that they can go various places.
And that has been helpful. If it wasn't for the bicycle, it would be very, very different, because some of these villages are very far apart.
Right.
So if they have to walk, they will spend most of the time walking. So the bicycles that you've been able to buy for the preachers have been very helpful in terms of cutting the time they have to spend traveling.
Wow.
Then they can spend more time preaching.
And tell us about the situation with the Bibles. Over here, a family might have 3 or 4 Bibles. They may have a Bible that they've never even picked up, or that's kind of grown dusty on the shelf. But talk about what the Bible situation is like in Zambia.
Well, it's a great need. First of all, people in the villages may not even a copy of the Bible. In fact, I'm aware of a number of villages. This particular one village that I remember, they had only one Bible in the local language. And this Bible was 40 years old. And everybody, that little congregation, was trying to read from this one Bible. So there's a great need for Bibles, basically because people in the villages can't afford. Even if they could afford, I think the choice would be between buying something to eat and buying a Bible.
Right.
And then, they would choose to buy food because that's what they need.
They have to eat.
They have to eat, yeah.
So, every time you share with me these stories and you tell me about the Christians that are in Zambia, you humble me, brother.
Thank you.
The stories, they really put things in perspective for me, and I think there's so many great lessons. I wish we had more time, but share with us some of the things that you think, because you've seen American Christianity, you've seen Christians in America, and you've seen Christians in Zambia. Yes. What are some of the lessons that we here can learn from the Christians there in Africa?
Oh, there's a lot of lessons that you can learn from us, and of course, some things that we can learn from you. Going to villages and preaching there, it's not like most of the time you don't even make an appointment. You just go there and find people. They'll be open to you. They'll stop what they're doing and listen to you. So one of the things that I think that you can learn is from us is being open more and ready, to receive the gospel whenever that time comes. And then there's an issue of sacrifice. If you look at the way the churches are arranged in Zambia, there's a lot of sacrifice that is made by the Christians there. For instance, if I call a meeting in Chipata, people don't drive that meeting. They either walk that meeting or they cycle that meeting. Of course, we have others that will get a chance to find money and get on some form of transport. But most of our people walk or cycle. So it will not be unusual when you come to a meeting, when you come to Zambia, to find that there will be a lot of bicycles around the meeting place wherever they'll be taking, will be teaching the gospel.
And I want people to understand the significance of what you're saying there. I mean, so many of us, we feel like if there is a worship service or there is a meeting at our local congregation, it's just too much work to have to go or to drive. I don't want to have to drive across town. But we're talking about people that will walk not for a few blocks, but for miles, or ride a bicycle for miles. You told me about one brother that came to the men's meeting, and how far did he travel?
Almost 90 miles.
Wow.
90 miles, which is about 200 kilometers. They cycle. We had a meeting in one area, and then, in fact, I'm told before I arrived there that people had come 2 days earlier. And when I arrived there, I just discovered that we had some brothers from Malawi who had cycled almost 90 miles on a bicycle.
Wow.
So it's not uncommon in Africa for people to cycle that distance. That's how much commitment and desire to learn from the Bible is in Africa. So.
Yes, I think there's so much we can learn from that. I wish we were that hungry to hear the truth taught, that we would be willing to go travel that distance. Now, when they're there for the meeting and they're there for several days, where do they sleep when they're at the meeting?
We just sleep under a tree.
Right.
I mean, normally if it's in the villages, the congregations are small, they are made out of mud. In any case, they would not support a big number. So we just sleep under the trees.
Right.
If we are doing a meeting where there is a school, then we'll probably sleep in a classroom, but you still have got some people sleeping outside.
Right.
Because our classrooms are very, very small.
And
so
they're
we sleep outside.
Willing to do whatever they need to do to go and to hear the Bible taught.
That's right.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, talk to me about the situation with orphans. Children that are growing up without parents is a big problem in Zambia, isn't it?
It is.
And tell me what the Christians there are doing to help with that situation, because I think there's a lot we can learn from that as well.
That's right. There are a lot of orphans, because of the advent of HIV/AIDS. So the villages are not spared. And in one instance, I had an old lady who is a member of the church, had 4 children, all of them had died, leaving her with 9 children that she had to look after. So it's a big problem for us, but you get church members that will take in the orphans and look after them. In Africa, it's us. So if there's a problem in the community, it's not an individual problem, it's a community problem. So that's how the orphans are surviving at the moment, because we have got relatives and members of the church that will say, okay, I'll take one, I'll help here, I'll help there. So
I think that's wonderful. I think that there's so much, again, that we can learn from that, in that when they see someone in need, they see this child that needs a home, it's not someone else's problem, it's not the government's problem, it's not the school's problem, it's our problem, it's our situation, and they step in and take them into their home, so much so that a home that's already overflowing with people sometimes.
That's right. In Africa, it's more about us, it's not about me. So if someone has got a problem, then it's a community problem. Right. And we go our way to help. And that's what the church is doing, trying to do whatever they can to help, with the members of the church and indeed members of the community that may have orphans that need help.
Right.
Yeah.
And that really should define the church everywhere, not just in Africa.
That's right.
If there's one thing that you could share with people, and you said, there's one thing I want people to know about the work in Zambia, what would it be?
Number one, I would like them to know that the work in Zambia is growing, and that we have needs, basically to help people come to the Lord. So anything that will help us to achieve that, we'll be grateful.
That's wonderful. Well, brother, we so appreciate the work that you're doing there, the sacrifices that you make, and for you coming back and sharing those things with us. And Baker Heights is so proud to work with you and to be a part of what's going on there. So many of our members have gotten to go over and see the work firsthand, but even for those of us that haven't gotten to go over yet, it thrills our soul to hear about all of the people that are learning the gospel and being helped because of the work that's going on there. So we appreciate it and we thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, brothers. We'll wrap up our discussion on this topic right after this quick message. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
More Crosstalk in a minute. We come from all walks of life, wondering why we're here and where we're headed. While the world is confusing and constantly pulling your family in different directions, you can find peace in the words of the Bible. Crosstalk is here to do just that. Every Wednesday at noon, have lunch with Wes McAdams from Baker Heights Church of Christ as he highlights different issues that we all face every day. Every week, a new subject is brought to the table so you can find comfort for today's challenges. Through application of biblical teachings to modern issues faced today, Crosstalk will bring hope and light to your life. Join us every Wednesday at noon for Baker Heights Crosstalk on the CW.
I want to thank Brother Mwanza again for joining our discussion today and sharing those thoughts and those stories about what's going on in Africa with us. As we close, I'd like for us to think about a couple of things. The first is the importance of mission work, the importance of evangelism, doing what Jesus told his apostles to do. One of the last things that Jesus told his apostles before he left this earth and ascended back into heaven was to go into all the world and preach the gospel. Tell people the good news about his death and his burial and his resurrection, to make disciples, to teach people who Jesus was, what Jesus had done, and how he would have them to live, to baptize them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and continue to teach them to walk in Jesus' ways. That's what we're doing in Zambia. That's why I'm so excited about Baker Heights and the work that they have partnered with Brother Mwanza to do in the Eastern Province of Zambia. I think about passages like Romans chapter 10. It says in verse 13, "Whoever will call on the name of the Lord will be saved. How then will they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how will they believe in him whom they have not heard? And how will they hear without a preacher? How will they preach unless they are sent? Just as it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news of good things." Brother Mwanza has beautiful feet, according to Romans chapter 10, because he is taking that good news to Africa, to those that are lost in Zambia. Those that are being trained at the Chipata Bible College have beautiful feet because they're taking the good news of Jesus Christ to the villages and to all of the people that will listen. They are taking the good news of Jesus Christ to them. They're showing them that they care about them. They're helping to make sure that they have clean water to drink, that they have medicine to take care of their illnesses. But then they're using that opportunity to tell them the good news about Jesus Christ. We are excited to be a part of the work that's going on there in Zambia. But I also think that there are so many lessons, as Brother Mwanza shared with us, there are so many lessons that we as Christians here in America can learn from Christians there. Their hunger, not for food, but their hunger for the Word of God. Their willingness to sacrifice, their willingness to give up luxury, their willingness to do whatever it takes to listen to people tell them about the Bible. Are you willing to make sacrifices? Are you willing to stop what you're doing and listen to someone teach you about the Bible? Are you willing to travel across town or do whatever it takes to hear the gospel, to hear Scripture? I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Crosstalk. If you'd like to find out more about Baker Heights, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can give us a call at 325-692-6974, or you can email us at questions@bakerheights.org. But the best way to connect with us is to come worship with us at Baker Heights. We're a biblical, friendly, loving, and growing congregation, and we would love for you to come visit. We love you, God loves you, and we hope that you have a wonderful day.